And hello, welcome to Open, the show opening the Bronx and the rest of the world right to you. I am Darren Jaime, and today we're going to update you on what's happening in and around our borough and New York City. Coming up, we'll discuss the FDA's decision to approve the first over-the-counter Narcan nasal spray. Then April is Occupational Therapy Month. We'll talk about what initiatives VNS Health is taking to help older adults live safely on their own and then stay their healthiest. Then we'll discuss what people can expect from this year's Bronx Night Market. It is that time of year again. And then after, we'll give you ways that you can entertain your guests with cocktails for the spring. And then finally, we'll learn about an upcoming event developed to promote health and fitness right here in the Bronx. So stay tuned because all this and much more is heading your way, because now we're officially open. And hello everyone, I'm Darren Jaime, and you are now watching Open, a live program that brings the Bronx and New York City straight to you. We also want to welcome our viewers on Manhattan Neighborhood Network, as Open is being broadcast live simultaneously on MNN's channels. Now, you can stay connected to us on all of our social media platforms at BronxNet TV. Well, some things have been going on throughout the course of the past week. We'll take you through it with some Bronx updates. We start off with housing news. One Bronx housing complex and its 1,500 units face a serious crisis over line repairs and a gas shutdown. Our BronxNet reporter, Chanel Thompson, has more details.
More than half the units at Van Cortlandt Village amalgamated houses may have their gas shut off July 1st if the co-op doesn't repair its gas lines. The cost to fix is about $150 million, and management has warned residents since February 17th. I spoke to General Manager Charles Zabedex, who wanted to tell us what's really happening.
This harkens back to 2017 when I became aware that City Council was considering Local Law 152 and amending it to include inspections of all buildings. At that point, I made our supervising agency, New York State Homes and Community Renewal, aware that this problem is pervasive for all buildings in New York City, including the amalgamated, and that it should be their responsibility to ensure that all affordable housing co-ops within their portfolio were prepared with money from refinancing to address any potential shutdown.
The cost is hard to fathom for nearly 1,500 amalgamated residents. Amalgamated is the nation's oldest limited equity co-op and a monument to housing affordability. Members must meet income restriction guidelines set by the State Affordable Housing Agency, New York State Homes and Community Renewal, which oversees a range of public subsidies that help maintain the affordability of limited equity co-ops. I spoke to two local residents and members of Amalgamated Cooperatives United, Michelle Hennessy and Carol Foresta, who tells us how this is affecting the community.
What's going on today is we came together, a bunch of cooperators here that live at the Amalgamated, and we formed the Amalgamators Cooperative United, and we put out the alarm basically to let our residents and neighbors know what's happening and the community at large. Our expectation is that people are going to get involved because this is a very unique and beautiful community that's been in existence for almost 100 years. And in order for it to continue, we need all hands on deck.
We just found out that on July 1st, our gas is going to be shut off. How are we going to cook? How are the young families that live here going to be able to feed their children? We don't have the capacity to turn our gas ovens and stoves into electric ones because our infrastructure is very old. people don't have to be rich or very wealthy or have a lot of money in the bank in order to move in here.
For more information on how you can help or sign their petition, you can visit the Facebook website at Amalgamated Housing Cooperative, or you can visit the other website at change.org, Save Amalgamated Community in the Bronx. Reporting for BronxNet, Chanel Thompson.
And thank you, Chanel. In other news, the Caribbean Cultural Center African Diaspora Institute launched a film photography exhibition highlighting the evolution of black music in New York City. Our BronxNet reporter, Kyrie Moody, has a story.
In honor and celebration of the 50th year anniversary of hip-hop, the CCC-ADI launches a film photography exhibition highlighting the evolution of black music in New York City from the 1970s to the 2000s. There were two artists whose work was showcased in the exhibit, Joe Conzo Jr. and Malik Yusuf Combo.
Tonight's images are basically from a moment in time. Photographs of mostly music artists that were during the era of, like, I don't know, from the late 80s to the early 2000s. And these are images of people who I felt that has made some type of integral part of the change of music.
CCC-ADI stands for Caribbean Cultural Center of African Diaspora Institute. Melody Campote has been with the center for 40 years and is the executive director. She tells us about the center and its mission.
The center is a 47-year-old organization that has been committed to doing work that really advances and advocates for African descendants on racial and social justice and equity. We are an organization that looks at the common thread we share as people of African descent. So wherever the enslavement happened, wherever our people were taken, wherever our people arrived, we look at the common thread we share, and which is really the root culture in Africa.
Director of Programs Sabine Blazin gives us how she comes up with such impactful events here at the center.
The first word that comes to mind is spirit. I just definitely have to feel an ancestral calling, making sure that we are doing due justice to the beauty, the livelihood of the past, the present, and the future of the African diaspora, and all the gifts and the arts and culture that we bring to this world.
Joe Conzo Jr. couldn't be in attendance for the show, but his art was there and inspired us all. To learn more about the CCC-ADI and its future events, visit cccadi.org/events. For BronxNet, this is Kyrie Moody.
And thank you, Kyrie. That's all the time we have for our Bronx updates. That is it. We're going to take a quick break, but we do have more open when we return right after this.
¿Qué color? Perfecto, mijo.
Gracias. Thank you.
What's wrong, mijo?
Donating to a pet's medical care is one of the many ways you can help families in your community. Pets and people belong together. Learn more at petsandpeopletogether.org.
Even though we didn't grow up together, he's my favorite brother.
Hey, sis.
I'm the baby of the family, and he's the gentle giant.
What you know about Port Georgia?
Man, please, that's a classic.
You know when they say people are a rare breed? Yeah, he's that.
I'm sorry, I'll be back in a few hours.
Don't worry, Shug, you know I'm for you.
I know.
Go get the football.
That was my favorite memory. He was always for ya. This is a true story of me, Bridget Floyd, and this guy, George Perry Floyd Jr., my big brother.
In recent news, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration approved the first over-the-counter Narcan nasal spray. The Alliance for Positive Change provides free Narcan training kits, as well as equipping thousands of people to administer it in the event of an overdose. Here now to share more information, we've got the Director of Recovery Services at the Alliance for Positive Change, Dr. Peter Boutros. And Dr. Boutros, glad to see you again. And, the FDA approved this decision to have the first over-the-counter Narcan spray. There's some people who are critics of it, and there are others who are in favor of it. But from your perspective, talk to us about the FDA decision and how you feel it plays out.
Sure. Thank you for having me. The first thing I believe that the FDA is committed. It's showing us that the FDA is committed to address the nationwide overdose, opiate crisis. This decision also shows us that they're trying to remove the restrictions of having someone, let's say, going to the doctor to obtain a script. This will make certainly overdose reverse more readily available and significantly reduce death due to opiate overdose, increasing locations where this could be found, and it clears the way to include places without pharmacy, such as grocery stores. But I want to point out also that this is just the beginning, for the FDA to do that. We would like to see more to address the cost, because if I go, let's say, to a pharmacy and try to get Narcan, it's going to cost me $50. So this is not available, meaning the cost to everyone. So if it's free, it would be nice.
Yeah, and Dr. Boutros, let's make our viewers up to speed. We are going to assume that some people may not be so familiar, right? So when we have a situation where there's a person out there that's possibly overdosing, this Narcan spray can be administered, and this can help them in the midst of their overdose. But can you just provide a little bit more clarity to somebody who may not be so familiar as to how Narcan works, particularly when it's administered?
Sure, absolutely. Well, Narcan is a medication that's approved by the FDA. This is designed to reverse opiate overdose, and the key word here is rapidly. It is certainly an opiate antagonist, meaning that it binds to the opiate receptors, and this can reverse and block the effect of opiates such as heroin or fentanyl. It's easily provided in the nostril, and by giving one dosage, this can help again address what I just explained, and it does reverse again overdose, and it prevents that from happening. And we know it's rapidly available: heroin, fentanyl, morphine, and oxycodone, for examples.
Yeah. You've got good boots on the ground when it comes to this. Talk to us about where we are in New York City. We know that we're in the middle of an overdose epidemic. How bad would you categorize it?
Well, I think it's worth it for everyone to pay attention to, because certainly we're looking at maybe 2,000 or possibly 3,000 from the latest data that's shown to be an increase, let's say, from 2022 to present. So we've seen an increase, and then we have the xylazine, who's also being introduced. It makes matters complicated more.
And so there are harm reduction services that are out there that are available in the community. Talk to us about the work that's being done to provide these harm reduction services.
Sure, absolutely. Harm reduction services, it simply saves lives, and it decreases potential harms associated with substance use. And this is a key factor and definition of harm reduction. It addresses and helps individuals who use illicit substance primarily without the harm. And this also helps them to live as healthy being as possible in the community. So reducing the harm is major. We go out into the community. We have, a safe place where substance use can be provided or can be used without the harm, without the impact of the harm.
So I want to take our viewers through some numbers here. New York City, the overdose crisis was at record numbers, as I talked about earlier. In 2021, 2,688 individuals died from overdosing. That's an increase of 78% since 2019, 27% since 2020. Now with this new legislation that's in effect, somebody can get Narcan without a prescription. And Dr. Boutros, I think so many people are saying, well, is there a harm to having Narcan because it was first a prescription drug? Is there a harm that we're possibly adding another prescription drug that will be non-prescription, if you will, on the street?
That's a very good question. And Narcan, it's not known to cause any harm. Again, it's a simple designed to reverse opiate overdose, and the key word here is rapidly, because every second counts when someone is experiencing overdose of any kind of opiates or heroin or fentanyl or morphine. So this is specifically designed to reverse the opiate overdose, or what's the impact in those receptors, the brain receptors that cause this overdose.
Yeah.
So it doesn't harm the individual.
I know my producer's probably going to kill me, but I need to get this one other question in here because there may be somebody out there right now that needs that help. So could talk a little bit just very quickly. I only have maybe a minute or so left, but can you give us a little background about your organization and the work that you do in the community, and maybe somebody might be able to want to tap into you?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I mean, here at the Alliance, we opened our doors back in '91 in the height of the HIV crisis. So this is not the first epidemic we're willing and we are doing to address. Alliance provides low-income New Yorkers, and that's the key word, living with HIV and AIDS and other chronic conditions such as, opiate use. With access to quality care, here we have housing, we have harm reduction, we have coaching, pantry, and they can simply go to alliance.nyc to access our care. And I want to also add that fentanyl test strips and syringe access, exchange, and disposal, we also provide that, which is really addressed again. And we provide all of this for free to address the opiate epidemic.
Dr. Boutros, I want to thank you. Great work that you're doing, and certainly a great resource to have in the community. If there's somebody that wants to get more information, we're going to give them the contact information in just a second. But again, thanks for the work that you're doing, and we'll continue to follow this story as well.
Thank you so much for having me.
All righty. Thanks for being with us, Dr. Peter Boutros. Now, if you want more information, please visit the website at alliance.nyc. Then also follow them on Instagram and Twitter at the Alliance_NYC. Don't go anywhere. We got more Open coming up. We'll be right back in a minute.
Thank you so much.
Fostering a pet for a friend or neighbor can keep families together. Learn more at petsandpeopletogether.org.
Most hiring algorithms would scream me out.
Some bosses couldn't see me as a leader.
I've run this place for 20 years, but I still need to prove that I'm more than what you see on paper.
I've been running code as long as I've been able to reach a keyboard.
This is what I do. It's second nature for me, coordinating 100 details at once.
It's the way my mind works. I have a very mechanical brain.
I sold them on my skills.
You gotta be so good they can't ignore you.
My magic is
analytics and empathy. That's how I'm getting clients. You have to have the confidence in yourself to show up and defy the odds.
I am more than who I am on paper.
I never got a college degree. And today, I'm the CEO of my own company. People want to tell me I'm one in a million, when actually I'm one of millions. Stars are all around us. It's time for them to shine.
The Bronx has a sizable population of older adults, with about 14% of the community being 65 and older. And while many older Americans are living longer, they are dealing with a great number of chronic health conditions threatening their ability to stay independent. Now, we know that regular doctor visits are important, but today we'll hear and learn why rehabilitation therapists also have a critical role to play in helping us stay healthy as well as independent as we age. And we are pleased to have joining with us the occupational therapist at VNS Health, Cecile Hall. And Cecile, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Darren.
I'm glad to have you because, your role is very critical. And for people who deal in fine motor skills, I know that an occupational therapist is really necessary. But I'll start off with the baseball question, which is like I'm just throwing it out here, right? Talk to me, because we hear a lot of people say physical therapy. We hear a lot of people say occupational therapy, and they are two different distinct things. So I want us to first clarify the difference between occupational therapy and physical therapy.
Okay, so usually I always joke around with the patients when they ask me that, because that's a common question that I get from patients. And I usually say, occupational therapy, we deal from the waist up, physical therapy from the waist down. But pretty much for occupational therapy, we work with patients to improve their fine motor, visual, cognitive, perceptual skills, for everyday tasks, like maybe buttoning a shirt, putting on shoes, tying, cutting their food, feeding themselves to make life easier. Physical therapy, and we also do upper extremity strengthening exercise with patient who has, whether it's from a stroke, hemiplegia, or maybe a shoulder replacement. Physical therapy, they concentrate mainly on ambulation, balance, gait. They do stairs and, lower extremity strengthening exercises as well.
When you first take on a patient, obviously sometimes it can be a challenge because there's an emotional skill set, there's a mental skill set. How much does all of that weigh into the work that you do?
Well, it definitely plays an important part with every day, because a lot of times, when you have a patient and they're probably, depressed, because of their illness, and you pretty much have to, work with them to try to motivate them. Sometimes, wind up maybe joking around with the patients, and saying, okay, we're going to do a little dance, we're going to do the electric slide when you're done, and, try to, let them feel, a little positive about that. So you try to work with them and tell them this is going to benefit you, to help you to get stronger, to get better, to be more independent. So a lot of it, you have to, what we call therapeutic use of self, trying to motivate and encourage the patient to do what they need to do to become independent.
Yeah. Is there a lot of resistance sometimes going into a situation, because the goal, as you said, is to really try to get somebody to live independently, live safely on their own.
Yes.
Sometimes that's not always too well received, or I know that there has to be a certain set of challenges that you face. Talk about sometimes what the challenges are of being that occupational therapist.
Well, a lot of times you will go into the homes and the patient will say, oh, I don't need occupational therapy. I just want to walk, and they're more centered in getting, the physical therapy. So when you sit and, you explain and say, well, yes, so for you to walk, to hold on to the walker, you're going to need to, strengthen your upper extremities to be able to hold yourself up, and to be able to ambulate, and, to do all the things that you need to do to become independent. So there are always a lot of challenges where patients are down, they don't really want to do anything, and you work with the family member to try to get them to accept and work with you. Yeah. So it's, yes.
I think a lot of people say, listen, I want to stay as independent as possible for as long as possible. And unfortunately, sometimes when people come your way, that's been compromised. But for somebody who's watching right now saying, listen, you know what, I'm trying to stay as independent, I like you, but I'll wait till I have that appointment. What can I do to really keep myself in good shape? What are some basic things? Because there's some small things I'm sure we could be doing around the house without having to necessarily make it to a gym.
Well, usually when we go in and with the patient with the exercise program, we usually will give them, the sheet or something with the exercises that we go through with them. Sometimes we engage the family member to work with us and carrying over the exercises when we're not home. Because a lot of times, a lot of patients will say, oh yeah, I didn't do the exercises that you gave me, I'm just waiting for you to come. And I always explain to them that for you to get the most out of this, you have to continue with the exercises, when I'm not there or even when we're gone, so, you have them go through it. And like I said, you try to engage a family member to, help them with the exercises on a daily basis.
And getting out in the neighborhood, how important is that in terms of walking and really trying to get people to embrace that? Because there's often a saying that, somebody's normal is somebody else's miracle, but to get somebody out there to a place where they can be able to walk and become independent, huge step.
Yes, it is. Yes, so usually it's a team effort. We work with, social workers, physical therapists, the speech pathologists, and the other discipline nurses, home health aides. And we also engage a home health aide in, walking the patient, exercising with them as well, and motivating them to, become independent, because that's the end goal, to work with them to become independent in the home.
Yeah. Well, Cecile, I want to thank you for the work that you do, helping so many people and so many lives to really get back on track and to encourage them. Thank you for being that great occupational therapist. For you, before we go, what does it mean for you to be an occupational therapist?
For me, it's when I can help someone and I can see the results. A lot of times when I go into the field or I'm out in a store or somewhere and a patient will come up and say, "Hi, remember me? You're my occupational therapist." And that makes me feel good seeing this patient out in the community doing, being independent and doing what they have to do. So that's one of the gratification that I get. And patients telling me that, "Thank you so much, you helped me, to regain my independence and, to function at my optimal level."
Well, I'm not a patient, but I want to tell you, thank you so much for helping the people in our community. Great job, Cecile. Thanks, and glad to have you here with us here on the show.
I appreciate it, and thank you so much for having me.
All righty. Well, I want to let you know, if you want more information, all you got to do is visit the website at vnshealth.org or pick up the phone and call 1-866-986-7691. We encourage you, don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more Open right after this.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Can you see anything different as a pill?
No.
You don't know?
Fentanyl is being mixed into everything now. There's only one thing that will save somebody's life. That is naloxone nasal spray.
Fentanyl, it's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
Why would drug dealers put a lethal dose of fentanyl in drugs if they know it's so harmful?
Really just all about the money.
I just didn't realize that one pill could change your whole life.
More kids should know.
It is that time of the year. The Bronx Night Market is officially back on April 29th. Now, we want to let you know that the events group has been serving the Bronx and New York City residents delicious food, promoting small businesses since 2018 and have been expanding ever since. And joining us now to share more about this year's events, vendors, and entertainment is the founder of the Mask Hospitality Group and producer at Uptown, Bronx, and Brooklyn Night Markets, Marco Shalma. What's up, brother?
What's up, what's up? How you doing? Thank you for having me.
I'm good. You know, I'm glad, because every time I see your face like this, it means it's getting warmer outside and it's time to eat.
You know what? If I'm your indication of that, then I'll take it. That means, if I put a smile on your face with that, that's it, But you're right about that. It is the time of the year again, when we about to kick off a season that's lasting from April all the way to November. So literally every week we have one event around the city, starting with Uptown Night Market tomorrow on Thursday, and the next one will be Bronx at the end of the month, and then after that, Harlem Bazaar, Brooklyn Night Market, And a new addition, you hear it first, because you know I like to give you the little scoops.
Yeah.
Vegan night market in Central Park coming up this June. So
really? Wow,
yes,
that's major. All right, well, thank you for the exclusive. Let us know. We got the Vegan Night Market coming to Central Park in June. But listen, give me this. When we talk about the event itself, we have seen crowds escalate down through the years. The music, the food, the atmosphere. It's more than just actually sitting there and eating and enjoying the entertainment. It really, in a lot of ways, is a revitalization for the community.
You know, I'm glad you said that, because, you know, a lot of people ask me, like, how we differ from different events or festivals in the city. And I keep explaining to this, you know, we don't just focus on the food. For us, is cuisine, culture, community. Those are the 3 C's that we work by, you know. So we got to get good food. And the food got to represent cultural, got to represent the borough, got to represent trends, got to represent, you know, what we see online right now with everything that's going on. But then you have the culture aspect, and the culture aspect is live music that's coming from local artists, up-and-coming artists. It's DJs, it's dance performances, it's art gallery, open-air art gallery. It's different exhibits that we bring throughout the year. And then you got the community, because without the community, we are nothing. So we are geared and focused and making sure that every community that we're in, they understand that this is made specially for them. You know, we learned that from the Bronx, you know, doing that in Fordham since 2017. And we learned that, like, you know, the community has to feel that this is something that belongs to them, that feels like them, that sounds like them. And that's honestly, to be honest, that has been the recipe for our success so far and our immense growth over the years.
Yeah, and when we talk about the growth, obviously you've got to be pleased with what you're being able to see now in year 6 in the borough of the Bronx, expanding all across New York City, people actually coming out. You're getting food vendors. Talk to me about that. How, because you're always getting people saying, listen, I want to throw my food up there. How do people become a vendor, first of all?
Well, I'm going to tell you, I got to give a little shout out over here before we're going to go to the vendors. And I'm going to say, like, you know, I wish I could take all the credit for myself, but the only credit I can take for myself is the fact that I learned throughout the years how to hire amazing people. And those amazing people do fantastic work at organizing the event with me, supporting that, administrators, you know, creating like the content, all of that. So the one thing that I learned how to be good at throughout the years is hire the right people and really have a relationship with them. You know, when it comes to the vendors, you know, we have, if anybody can go on masshospitality.com, our website, there is application form over there. There's information about all the brands that we have right now and the ones that we are working on coming. There's always room for more and new vendors. You know, I think I look back at 2017 when we had about 25, 30 vendors on the starting dates. And now we have a roster of over 400 vendors and micro businesses and family-owned businesses. That is incredible, you know. And you have to recognize, and we recognize, that most of our vendors, most of our businesses are POC. Most of them are women-owned businesses. All of them are micro businesses. That means, like, you know, less than 10 employees, family-owned businesses, individual, small partnership. And we work our you know, to get them happy and busy and make sure that they continue and flourish. And, you know, like every year we see at least 2 or 3 of our vendors move on to open a brick and mortar, to have a distribution to supermarkets, to have, like, you know, like really growth beyond what we do. And that's really what makes us happy.
Well, you talk about what makes you happy, but talk about the mission, because is that a part of the mission, to really see some of these places become brick and mortar? Is that part of the mission?
You know, this is why we started. You know, like the whole idea starting in the Bronx about 6 years ago. And by the way, on May 27th, that will be a big 6-year anniversary in the Bronx, in Fordham. You know, I can't even believe 6 years has gone so fast, and where we were 6 years ago to where we are right now, it is incredible. We feel blessed. We appreciate the community of the Bronx and the community of New York to kind of support us, you know. But yeah, like the mission statement was from day one was to bring great food and open air, affordable, free entertainment to our communities, and then to make sure that we support micro businesses, local micro businesses. They need their help. In a lot of ways, we opened the door to a lot of those businesses to participate in other food festivals that weren't accepting of that kind of demographic of food before. We were able to kind of break the barriers and kind of showcase how we do things in the Bronx and set the tone for the rest of the city, And we're really proud of that fact, because we see not only by the way that we create, basically just taking and creating a elevated block party that anybody can kind of come and have fun, but it's still organized and marketed in a way that is so appealing. And then we've seen the rest of the city follow through and then doing similar to that. So, I'll take credit for that. You know what? I'll take credit for that.
Yeah, take credit. And take credit for this. When we look at what's going on, you can talk about the Bronx, we can talk about New York City, Harlem, you can talk about Long Island. There's been some great expansion here. What do you think has been the great key to your success that allows this expansion to occur all across the city?
I keep saying that this is the easiest answer in the world. I got a PhD of doing business in the Bronx that got me going everywhere and showcasing what we do. We did not start expanding until our 4th year in the Bronx. We really wanted to own in and to know exactly how we do things. We really wanted to communicate with the community and listen, learn, and adapt, and really kind of create a product, an event that is just really reflects who we are as a group. And once we felt comfortable with that, we started getting all these noises. Like people ask us, can you come to Harlem? Can you come to Brooklyn? Can you come to, and we assess each situation by itself. And when we feel ready and when we feel that we can add to the mix without hurting any of our other, brands or products or events, then we move forward with that. And the key is, don't forget why you started it, right? Like we started it and we wanted to kind of bring happiness to a lot of people, support small businesses, change some stigmas about different areas, and make sure that we create an alternative to stuff that was a little bit stuffy, a little bit, concentrated around tourism, and that was my biggest issue. Like everything that was before we started this was aimed at tourists and not at New Yorkers. What we bring is an authentic experience to New Yorkers to come and enjoy themselves. And you know what? It resonates. It works.
Yeah. Well, Marco, again, congratulations, man. Good to see you. April 29th, that's going to be the day that we're going to be seeing it happening right here in the borough of the Bronx. You can come on out for the grand opening of the Bronx Night Market, and you'll catch Marco and the crew out there. Good to see you, brother.
Good to see you, too. I always appreciate it. This is my sign this season is going to go well. Our interaction over year after year, it just makes me happy. I appreciate you. Thank you for thinking about us. Thank you for supporting us throughout these years.
Hey, man, no worries. And proud of you, and continue the great work and continue making our borough proud, man. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, brother.
All righty. Now, listen, if you want more information, you can visit the website at bronxnightmarket.com, and we encourage you, go check it out. And we encourage you to do this, too. Don't go anywhere, because we got more open coming up right after this.
You can talk to me if you're feeling sad.
Thanks for hearing me out, bro.
Whenever you need to talk, I'm here, okay?
I don't know why you're so sad. You've got a roof over your head.
Bro, you gotta stop with that depression stuff. That's a white people thing.
Escúchame, en esta casa los hombres no lloran.
You all right?
It just feels like it's coming from everywhere.
Do you want to talk about it? Thanks for hearing me out, bro. Appreciate it.
You can talk to me if you're feeling sad. Whenever you need to talk, I'm here, okay?
And we are back. As the days get longer, the temperatures begin to warm up, but it's the perfect time to start about think about drinking some refreshing spring cocktails. that actually captured the spirit of the season. There's a plethora of cocktail options perfectly suited to springtime, and here now to share more information is the master distiller at Bombay Sapphire, Dr. Ann Brock. And Dr. Ann, good to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Tis the season. Tis the season. How's it going for you?
It's good. How are you?
It's good. It's good. It's good. So tell me now, I mean, the seasons are changing. Things are happening. You know, things are starting to warm up. And people are really looking for that right now drink. And you've got a couple out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got some great suggestions. So we're seeing across the board that classic cocktails are having a resurgence. And as you mentioned, the temperatures are warming up. We've made it through winter. So people's tastes are turning towards something a bit brighter, a bit fresher, maybe citrusy. So I can highly recommend either a martini or a French 75. They're both going down a storm right now. They also both my favorite cocktails. And they both work really well with a bright, vibrant gin such as Bombay Sapphire.
Yeah, and so for yourself, talk to me about what are you seeing out there? You got a first-hand view. What are you seeing in terms of like some possible trends that people are ordering in terms of this season?
Absolutely. Like I said, the classics. It's all about the classic cocktails. So your Negronis, your Martinis, your Tom Collinses, French 75s. They're all gin cocktails that have been around for an age, but work really, really well in this nice weather. They lend themselves perfectly to that aperitivo moment.
Now, Dr. Ann, you are known as a master distiller. What exactly is a master distiller?
So my role is to lead the team of distillers here in our distillery in Hampshire in the south of England. We're just outside London. We make Bombay Sapphire for the world. So my title's master is because I'm responsible for the quality and the production of every drop of Bombay Sapphire that goes out into the world for our customers to enjoy.
So you're the one in charge is what you're trying to say. I got you. All right. Well, listen, talk to me about this because you got something coming up and, you know, you got a newly launched, it's called Bombay Sapphire Premier Cru. Got my attention because you got a little Spain in there.
It does, yes. We've tried to bottle up a particular region of Spain. So all the citrus, all the lemons that go into Bombay Sapphire come from Murcia, which is an old city in Spain. It's right by the sea and it's surrounded by mountains. And it's a really beautiful part of Spain and it's very famous for its citrus. And we work directly with the growers and harvesters there. So they hand harvest all our lemons, they hand peel them, and all the lemon peels dried in the sunshine under the Spanish sun. So it's a really lovely process and it's a beautiful part of the world. So what we were wanting to do with Bombay Sapphire Premier Cru was to tell that story and bring Murcia to the world so everyone can understand how great the citrus is from there and the care and attention that the growers and harvesters we work with go to get us the best of the very best. And we've chosen a late harvest of Fino lemons and we've paired them with mandarin and sweet navel orange to create a bold but balanced, very citrusy gin.
How long did it take to put this all together?
Oh, well, if you want to talk about how long it took to set the relationships up with the growers, we're talking 20 odd years. But if we're talking about just the creation of the liquid in the bottle, then we actually developed it during the recent pandemic. So it took probably a little longer than it would have been because it wasn't quite so easy to collaborate. But it took between 9 months and a year for us to really get the liquid that we were wanting and the gin that we tasting the way we wanted it to taste.
And so as you look to this season, talk to me about what are some of the best tips that we can have for making those good drinks during a time like this?
You know, I think if you're at home and you want to make cocktails for your friends, I always say keep it simple. There's nothing worse than having a complicated drinks menu, so you're focusing all your time on making drinks and not on your guests. So my go-to is always the French 75. It's Bombay Sapphire Premier Cru shaken up with fresh lemon juice and sugar syrup over ice. Strain it into a champagne flute, top up with sparkling wine or champagne. So super quick to make, tastes delicious. and it turns every moment into a celebration. I highly recommend it.
Wow. So are you excited for this time of year? I mean, obviously, you know, the weather's changing, spring's out there, and for you, an opportunity to, you know, come forth with Bombay Sapphire and then some?
I love this time of year. I'm not somebody who appreciates the winter at all. So springtime, when the daffodils are out and the tulips are coming through, and you know, when you can sit in that spring warm sun in the garden with a gin and tonic in hand, or a Bombay Sapphire Premier Cru French 75. It's really my favorite time of the year, with all the hope of summer ahead of you.
Well, I want to ask, I've asked the question about, you know, tips about making drinks. Give me something about the mistakes that people make, because people do try to make drinks and they mess it up. So what are some do not do's for people in this time?
Well, I always say, you know, one of the things we're really lucky with in this world is we have the internet. And there are a lot of very talented bartenders out there who put their recipes online. And in fact, you can go to bombaysapphire.com, our website. We've got hundreds of cocktail recipes on there. Now, follow the recipe. Don't try and be creative first time round. There's a reason why those measurements are there in the recipe. It's because it works. So follow the recipe. Make sure you have great ice and chill your glass. And you shouldn't go too far wrong.
Well, I want to let you know it's been great having you, Dr. Anna. We appreciate you coming on, talk a little bit about Bombay Sapphire, and then also getting us ready for the season. I think there are a lot of people out there who just couldn't wait for this time of year because, you know, the drinks change, but then the weather changes, and it really is an opportunity for people to really tap in on this, you know, some great items. At the same time, also a great time to perfect their craft and get ready for the spring drinking season, if you will. So thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. We remember she is the master distiller, which means she is in charge, y'all. All right. Want to let you know for more information, go ahead and visit her at the website, bombaysapphire.com. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more Open coming up right after this.
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut. The one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the one that says, sure, I can have a drink. Or the feeling that says, okay, I've been drinking. Now what? It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed. Better leave the car when it's time to go. Plan ahead. Catch a sober ride. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Every day, thousands of kids start vaping. And I can't let this happen to my kid. Of course, it's awkward to talk to your kids about the dangers of vaping. Hey, bestie, how sketch is vaping? It's hard to get their attention. Ready? Go. Yes, look at that. You didn't even turn yours over. So if you want to talk to your kids about the dangers of vaping, you have to get it trending. Right, Backpack Kid?
Let's do it.
First, invite your kid to do the vape talk. Let's try this. All right.
Why is he here?
Yeah, I gotta get it trending, honey.
Come on.
To the left. To the right. Let's go.
Oh, honey, can we talk?
Yeah, what's up?
I see a lot of your friends vaping.
Visit talkaboutvaping.org for tips on when and how to have the vape talk.
And welcome back. Bronx Community College will be hosting its 45th annual Run the Bronx, and it's an event that we all know about. It'll include a 2-mile fitness walk and a 5K and a 10K run with efforts to develop health and fitness in the borough. And we got joining us and sharing more information is Run the Bronx's coordinator, Robert Whalen, and the co-founder of Run the Bronx and former assistant commissioner of the New York City Police Department, the Honorable Joseph M. Ramos. And we thank you both for joining us. Good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
So this is like a moment of personal privilege. Right? I mean, when we talked before, we were talking during COVID. It was during Zoom, this, that, third. It's the first time we actually have an opportunity to see each other face to face.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. We had the option to come in live, and we're like, we're coming in live.
Yeah. Well, we're glad to have you live.
Thank you.
It's exciting time. I mean, this time of year, there's a lot that's going on. But for you, Run the Bronx, and 45 years of doing this, right?
45 years, and we haven't missed a beat. May 6th of 1978 was the first year that Roscoe had the run. and we've been going strong. We had a spirit run for COVID. We had a virtual run. We were back live last year, and we're back live again.
And I want to talk to you about this. You know, the Honorable is here with us, and Commissioner Ramos, tell me a little bit about where it is today compared to what you've seen down through the years.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you, Darren, for all the support and assistance that you have given us for close to 35 years. You know, and the fact is that you have grown with us as we've grown, you know, with the run. And but before I go on, I'd like to bring greetings to you from Dr. Tommy Kasanabi, who is the president of the college, and Eddie Bidell, who's the vice president, who Robert works for. You know, and the fact is that the support that you have given us has brought us to the point where we have seen 50 people running in the first run, and now we average close to 2,000 people. And not only that, but I was talking to Robert before, and I said, how many internationals do we have? And you know that last year we had about 11 international people coming from all over to visit the Bronx and also Bronx Community College and to participate in our event. And I'm not talking about international from New Jersey. I'm talking about from England, from London, England, and Spain, etc., the Dominican Republic. You know, we have, so this is the kind of thing. But the beauty of it is that it was about 50 people then, and now we have that number close to 2,000.
Awesome.
Which is beautiful. So that's what I've seen during the years. But really makes my day is that I have to share with you that we also, during the years, we developed the Commissioner Ramos Trophy. And the reason we did that is that I had the explorers from the NYPD precincts, the kids from our borough, from all the 12 precincts, and youngsters that go to the precincts to participate as either volunteers, giving out water, you know, walking, whatever it is. And the group that brings the most amount of kids is the one who can participate and get the Commissioner Ramos Trophy. And last year, the 46th precinct won the commission, not last year, 3 years ago, before the COVID, they won and this year we have the Parkchester Islamic Center, who will also be participating to see if they can get the Commissioner Ramos Trophy.
And Robert, this is great because an opportunity to actually bring culture, community together. But for us in the Bronx, we know that we've got some challenges, right? You know, 62 out of 62.
Yes.
When it comes time for looking at the boroughs and the healthiest boroughs. So in many ways, this is also an opportunity to really practice some healthy fitness.
The best thing about the run is that we've made it free for CUNY students. We made it free for K through 12 students, high school students, and below. And they have that until April 29th. And that was our big impact of saying we need to increase the health and promote health in this borough. We do not want to be 62 out of 62 anymore. And a run is one of the first ways of doing it. Getting out, being active, being in the air, not playing video games all the time. So by making it free for them, it's not a financial liability anymore. It's an opportunity for them to go out and do the run. So having it free for them is one of the best things that we've done. And the number of youth that we have is about half of them end up being youngsters. And young students who are just in high school or getting ready and they're learning to be healthy.
Commissioner Ramos, you know, we only have a few minutes, but I do want to take the time to talk about this run, obviously. Started also by Roscoe Brown, Tuskegee Airman, and former president of Bronx Community College, and one who's very near and dear to us here and very dear to myself. Talk to me a little bit about this run, the legacy of Dr. Brown, and the fact that he would run himself.
Well, I met Dr. Brown many, many years ago when I was very, very young. And he took me under his wing. And he would always tutor me in different areas. But one of the things that happens is that he always talked, when he became the president of Bronx Community College, he wanted to open up those doors to the people of the community, but he was concerned about the health and wellness of the people of the Bronx, particularly the kids that came from the South Bronx. And the fact is that this legacy has continued, you know, with the thing. And for us to see people from birth to death participating in this particular event is tremendous. And that's what Roscoe really wanted. And he was a tremendous bug when it came to health and wellness. And as a result of it, he says, what is it that we could do? And he says, well, let's do what we could do, what we know how to do best. And it doesn't cost us anything. So you get me the students, I'll get you the sponsor for the first t-shirts, and let's have a run. He says, let's do it. And that was what, 45 years ago.
45 years, it continues now to this day. So let's get our public again with some information. Deadline's coming up soon.
The deadline for the early bird registration is the 29th of April. We still have a registration for that run week, but the price has increased, and it's no longer free for the K through 12 after April 29th. And it's funny you mentioned from birth all the way up. We actually had a participant, it's kind of hard for me, a runner who has been at 3 races, and he's 2 years old. So figure that math out.
Yeah.
So, but that was probably one of the funny, great stories that we have considering the youth and promoting.
It's been a great community staple. For 45 years, you've been doing this, and you know, like I said, I've been here nearly 30, maybe even, but still to see the fact that it's progressed and so many people actually coming out. And you had a little slowdown with COVID, but as we said, expect about 2,000 people this time. And also just to let people know about COVID protocols, right? Still going to be
still, some of them are still in place. We recommend masks. They're not mandatory. CUNY has now on their website says that visitors do not need to be vaccinated anymore, but still we want everyone to be safe. Make sure you have your card. Make sure you have the mask if you want to wear it, and have a good time. You're outdoors. Run.
Yeah.
Come back out. Don't leave play in stores anymore.
That's what we want to do.
It's we just encourage everybody to come and be with us. It's a family day. By the way, we not only have just a run, but we have mobiles there that of all different agencies coming to help to deal with us in that health and wellness. But by the way, we also have agencies from the city of New York who are doing recruitment now, getting people back to work as well at the college.
Well, I want to say, it's glad to have you.
Yes.
Looking forward to seeing what this year turns out. We know it's going to be good. We know it's going to be great. And it's great to see you in person.
Yes,
Robert,
exactly. Thank you so much.
And thank you.
Hey,
thank you for everything you've done for us.
No, it's my honor. It's my honor. It's my honor to be sitting next to you guys, too. All right, listen, guys, take a quick break. But before we go, I want to let you know, if you want more information, go ahead and visit the website, bcccuny.edu, and there we can find out all about the run. Now, talking about a break, no, we're not just going to take a break. Unfortunately, we come to the end of our show today. Want to thank all of our guests for joining us, and most of all you, the viewer, for tuning in. Now, if you missed any part of today's show, you can catch the recablecast on Optimus Channel 67. If you have Verizon Files, that'd be anytime on the web, I should say, at bronxnet.org. And Verizon Files, yes, 2133 is the channel that you can catch. Now, if you're looking for a brand new episode, come back on Friday morning. My girl, Rena Valentine, will bring you the best with arts and entertainment. That about wraps it up for this episode. For us, I am Darren Jaime, telling you to make sure that you keep this channel wide open, saying take care